Hey guys, welcome back. It is week number 3 in the month of kindness, also known as July. And this week we are talking about kindness to those who need our help, which is an act of service. And as I was thinking about this, I thought, okay, it's a cop-out if we talk about random acts of kindness, which are not really random because kindness is intentional. It's not really a random thing or something that we just do. Like we talked about in week 1, it's not just being nice. It's a character trait, right? That's used in an opposite situation. And so I decided that it would be a cop-out to simply say helping others is simply charity. And so I broke it down into 3 categories to give us a better perspective of what kindness looks like as a character trait when we are helping other people who need our help, which is the service component of kindness. So I started out with defining service because, I love definitions, and service is simply an act of helpful activity. And so then I decided, okay, well then what is a helpful activity? And I broke it down. The first category would be physical, which is volunteering our time or donating money, cooking a meal, running an errand for somebody, driving the kids, working with a charity, anything that's a physical act, something that we can do with our hands or with our bodies. A lot of us stop there and we think that this act of kindness is something that we do, right? So, buy someone a cup of coffee or whatever. Those are all really great things to do. Hand a bottle of water to a homeless person on the street. But there's other ways that we can help people and other ways that we can be in service to one another through this kindness. And so the emotional and the spiritual also come into play. So for the emotional component, we're going to listen without judgment. That's really hard to do, but it's kind. It's an act of kindness when we listen to people without judging what they're saying. We're going to repeat back what we heard. So what I hear you say is that you're frustrated about this situation and you would like it to change, or this person is hurting you, for whatever reason. So repeating it back is simply a way of understanding, letting them know that we're understanding and that we're listening. Love them first. Connect before you correct. So many of us want to give advice before we have an actual relationship with the person that we're talking to. We hear something. I am so good at this, so quick to offer a solution or offer an advice, right? Because I'm a problem solver. And when I hear something, I'm like, oh, you just need to do this. And I want to offer the solution right away. Before having an actual relationship, before I have permission to speak into that person's life, before we have built any kind of trust, right? So we always have to connect before we correct. Build that relationship of trust before we start speaking the truth. We want to desire their best. This is also an act of kindness that serves people really well. We want to desire the best for someone. We want to bring out the best in someone. We want to use grace when speaking the truth. And we want to be humble and vulnerable when we are speaking with people, right? So we don't ever want to have this one up or one down when we're talking to people. We want to be humble and come alongside the person rather than coming toward them and saying, oh, you need to do this, or, maybe walking behind. But if we come alongside them, now we're on an equal footing and we're not having this arrogant hierarchy above and below. So when we're humble and when we're vulnerable, yeah, I get it. Yeah, I've been there. I made the same mistake. I made the same decision, right? That develops that relationship, and that's a kind way to relate to people rather than, can't believe you did that. Keep your boundaries. Don't internalize their problem. Don't put it on your plate and make it your problem, and don't offer to solve or to fix. And so many times we do this. We hear somebody talking and we say, well, if you would just handle your money this way, or if you would just tell your spouse this, or handle your kid this way, give them consequences or punishment. And we're so quick to jump in and try to own it. Like we want to offer, we think that, offering some type of service to them, let me call the bank for you, let me do this for you, or whatever. But we begin to own the problem in that way, and we're not keeping our boundaries. It's their problem. We can empathize with them. We can ask them, What do you need? How can I serve you? But when we jump in and offer a solution and solve their problem for them, that's not being kind. That's taking away their dignity. That's taking away their decision-making process, and that's taking away their ability to problem solve and to learn from their mistakes. We're robbing them of all of that. We can also ask probing questions to help them see the best solution for them. What's best for them in their situation, right? We could be in the exact same situation, but it needs to be handled two different ways. Every problem should be handled on the basis of its own merits, not just this cookie cutter blanket. We'll just handle the problem this way, because we all bring to the table our own histories, our own personal upbringing. And so the way that I solved a problem isn't necessarily the way you should solve that exact same problem, right? And so we ask probing questions of them to get their mind thinking in a way that directs them to solve the problem and to see the answer for themselves. And finally, on the emotional part, be quiet, right? Just sometimes the best thing to do is just to be quiet. Sometimes people have unresolved grief, unresolved guilt, unresolved trauma. Sometimes they just need to vent. They don't need us to come along and offer anything other than just a shoulder to lean on, a space to cry without judgment. You know, the body, there's a lot of studies that the body holds all of this stress that we have. It holds the anxiety. It holds all these frustrations and the anger and everything that is just not really processed with another person or with another group. And it gets in there, and then it causes, sometimes it causes tumors, sometimes it leads to cancer, our body, or heart attacks even, right? And so our body can't handle all of this, and so it needs to come out. And so sometimes we need to use our body in a physical way to get that stress out. Sometimes it's exercise, sometimes it's crying, sometimes it's just physically, going to another person and having a space to just to let it all out, just let the ugly out. And we just need to sit there and provide that safe space for them just to let it out, help them process that grief. So let me turn this way. The final category would be spiritual. And this is where it's getting into people's character. And so we want to maintain their dignity with our words and with our actions. And so what this looks like is, tell me the reason that you made that decision, which is a fact-finding way to handle it, versus what the hell were you thinking, right? So that's shaming. When we say words like that, that's shaming the person and putting them down. We're judging them. So when we ask questions, tell me why you made that decision, then we can help them come to a solution. So with every interaction that we have with people, we need to leave the person better off than we found them. And that's nourishing their soul. It's building their character. And it's also building our character, right? And keeping our boundaries. So the spiritual is to maintain their dignity with our words and actions and how we approach them and what it is that they're going to, because people need help in a variety of ways. It's not just the physical, maybe a meal or a donation to a charity. It's also our dignity and our character and our emotions and getting through the day in a healthy way. So if you'd like, you can head on over to Amazon and pick up the journal that I published that follows along with this series, Write Your Life with Grace. You can find that on Amazon. And also while you're there, you can pick up the first book that I published, No Arms, No Legs, No Problem. This is the memoir of Bob Lujano. He's a bronze medal Paralympian in quad rugby. He is a quadriplegic, quad amputee, I should say. Tons of character stuff in here. This excellent book. So head on over to Amazon or Barnes & Noble and pick up your copy of these. So next week we are going to talk about kindness to people in heated situations, and that'll be the patience component of kindness. So let me know what you think in the comments. I hope that was helpful, and as always, have a great week, and I will see you in week number 4. Take care.